Hi Meanies, I'm so sorry this review is late, but this will be my review for Sailor Moon Crystal Act 36. I had to rewatch it because it's been a while and I have been extremely busy, so I'm going to try and cover a good portion of it and see how it goes. If I forget anything, like always, just please leave it in the comments and I'll add it into the next review before I get to that episode's review. So, let's get started. Act 36 picks up right where Act 35 leaves off. And right off the bat, I can tell that while we had a week's delay when they aired this, I just find it hilarious where Sailor Neptune, Sailor Uranus, and Sailor Pluto and Sailor Moon are just floating in the air, and Sailor Mars, Mercury, and Venus and Jupiter are in purple bubbles, flying in the air, or floating actually, knocked out, and they're just staring at them, which I find kind of shocking. Well, then they get into, Sailor Moon gets to try to save them, but the monster stops her, the shield actually stops her, and they're just, Sailor Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto are all like that, kind of, sort of. So they're kind of baffled, I guess. Yeah, so that's good. And then Sailor Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto fly to 3 buildings, and they use their talismans to make a barrier around the monster, saying you're not going to go to you're not going to destroy this world. Whereas Sailor Moon is still trying to save her friends. So we get to see Pharaoh 90 act all creepy. So she's saying, I no longer need this body, my master's going to be doing some vessalization, and she tries to leave Hotaru's body, but Hotaru's spirit tries and stops her, which is different from the 90s, because when we had this in the 90s, 1, they didn't talk about vessalization, and 2, Sailor Saturn didn't really, or Hotaru I should say, really didn't do anything, because she was possessed, and yeah, so she's more active in Crystal than she was in the 90s, and she's more protective of Chibiusa and the Genjuicho, I think how you say it in Japanese, but legendary Silver Crystal. Yeah, she's more active in Crystal, and I really like that. Another thing that was different, kinda, was she saw Chibiusa's soul and the Silver Crystal, and Hotaru's spirit kinda surrounded them like this, and protected them, and said, I am going to protect you no matter what the cost. And so we cut to Mamoru's place, and he is still using his life energy like he did in the 90s to save Chibiusa. And a little while, what's the word I'm looking for? He sees Hotaru appear in front of him. But in the 90s when she did that, she came as Sailor Saturn, not as Hotaru. So that's different. And so they don't really say anything to each other. She just does this, and she releases Chibiusa's soul and the Silver Crystal. So Sailor Saturn, aka Hotaru, saves Chibiusa. And when Chibiusa finally wakes up, she sees Hotaru's spirit and tries to go to her. And Hotaru's saying, I appreciate your friendship. I'm very grateful for the friendship. It's the least I can do to save you. And stuff like that. So she is, meanwhile, her body is being controlled by the Pharaoh 90 master. And she feels her body kind of tear, kind of rip apart. So when she starts to disappear, Chibiusa runs to her, and again, Hotaru says thank you for being a friend, and she's glad that she met Chibiusa, and she says goodbye to her, and then she disappears. Chibiusa starts to cry, and Mamoru's just, baffled kind of like speechless, doesn't know really what to say. And so, yeah, in the 90s, they really didn't have Chibiusa do much at this point. So, yeah, another thing is, in the 90s, again, like I said, Chibiusa didn't really do anything. It was all Sailor Moon and Saturn and all them. But in this, Mamoru's saying, can you really fight? And Chibiusa's like, I have to. So she uses her brooch and transforms back into Sailor Mini Moon and goes and joins the others. And what I love about that scene, when she gets to the Guardians, they're all staring at her, and they're doing this, like this, and I love it. I found something on one of the groups I'm in, and the caption was perfect. I pledge allegiance to the flag. Wait, what country are we in? Because that's kind of what ran through my head when I rewatched this, when I did that scene. So they all attack the monster, and Chibiusa shows up with the pink sugar heart attack to help them out. She tells them that Hotaru saves her, and that Hotaru died, and that Hotaru's really not gone. She's in her heart. Or she's in their heart, and Sailor Moon starts to cry. Tuxedo Mask shows up and tells everybody they need to attack the monster now because the barrier that the outer Guardians formed isn't going to hold much longer. So Sailor Moon calls upon the Holy Grail and transforms it to Super Sailor Moon. Meanwhile, the cats are in the base trying to analyze, I think, everything that's going on the computer. But Sailor Chibi Moon, this is different. Sailor Chibi Moon's power is stronger in Crystal because she forms her own Holy Grail, and they both transform into Super Sailor Moon and Super Sailor Chibi Moon. Whereas for Super Sailor Chibi Moon, that didn't happen until season 4 of the 90s dub. So they both use their power, and they attack the monster together. Sailor Moon and Sailor Chibi Moon attack together, use their power to attack the monster. So that's kind of where the episode ends, and I will be back later, Moonies, with another Sailor Moon Crystal review. So there you go. That is my review for Act 36 for Sailor Moon Crystal. Bye-bye, Moonies.